Welcome to Maths Lesson 2 with Mrs Patnell. We are sticking with our topic of time this week, looking at days of the week, months of the year and units of time that we can measure in as well, okay? We're going to do our number of the day, we're going to do a bit of counting, and we're going to sing some songs to do with days of the week and months of the year. I just wanted to point out one thing though from yesterday's lesson with our estimating of our Satsuma pieces, that I noticed as I was putting them together to eat them, that I could group them. Oh, hang on a minute. There we go. I'd lost one. That I could group them. I thought a chicken had eaten one. Group them in twos. And therefore, when I was counting them after estimating them, I could have done it a lot quicker because I've grouped them into twos, okay? So rather than going 1, 2, 3, 4, I put them in twos and they fitted perfectly in twos, and then I could use my knowledge of counting in twos to do it quicker. So I could say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. And I got there in half the time counting in twos, which I didn't notice that until I was tidying away yesterday. So if I put that 100 square back up again, it's windy still today. So I'm going to pop this back here because we are going to count in, we're going to count back in ones today because this helps with subtraction to be able to count backwards, okay? So we're going to start at the number 20. And we're going to count backwards in ones until we reach what would normally be here that isn't on our 100 square, which is 0, okay? But you can say blast off as well, but as long as you say 0 too, because we mustn't forget 0, it's an important number too, remember. Put him behind. Okay, so we're going to start on 20, count back in ones. 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, blast off! Okay, well done, excellent counting back in ones. I'm now losing my days of the week. Let's reach over and grab that. So we're going to sing our days of the week song now, okay? I have stuck them down a bit better so that this wind won't bother us while we are singing our song. Let's poke that bit back in there again. Okay, so we have got, hopefully you can see all those days of the week on the camera there. We're going to start at the top with our first day of the week, Monday, and sing it to the tune of the Addams Family. So, there's Monday and there's Tuesday, there's Wednesday and there's Thursday, there's Friday and there's Saturday, and then there's Sunday. Days of the week, clap, clap. Days of the week, clap, clap. Can't clap because my hand's supporting my board at the moment, but you guys can clap for me. Do it one more time. There's Monday and there's Tuesday, there's Wednesday and there's Thursday, there's Friday and there's Saturday, and then there's Sunday. Days of the week, clap, clap. Days of the week, clap, clap. There we are. So, that's our days of the week song done. I'm going to turn this around because it's going to be something we're going to need to talk about shortly after I've suggested what number of the day can be. So let's clip that up there. Okay, so number of the day today on your number of the day sheets that you've either made yourself or you're just writing down on a piece of paper, which is fantastic as well. I'm going to give you two choices. The first option you can do, a single digit number, is 7, okay, for your number of the day. And if you want to stretch yourself, I want you to try 17. Okay, so fill in all those boxes, write the number, do it in tally, think of different ways to make adding sentences and two numbers that can make your 7 or your 17, and pop it all on tapestry for me if you're in my class. If you're watching this and you're not in my class, then show it to everybody you live with, so they can see how fantastic you are at doing number of the day, either 7 or 17. Right, So I want to introduce you today to the months of the year, and I'm hoping you can see that okay on the camera. I wrote them in different coloured pens as we go around, so they look different, but some might show up a bit better than others. So if you're watching on an iPad, maybe zoom in a bit to help you, okay? So these are our months of the year. Now, months of the year are a bigger length of time than a week, okay? So there are 7 days in a week. But in a month of the year, there's approximately, that means roughly, not exactly, but somewhere near about, roughly about 4 weeks, approximately 4 weeks in each month. Some are slightly longer, they can be 4 weeks and an extra few days, okay? But they are all roughly around 4 weeks and some slightly more than that, okay? So a month of the year is roughly about 4 weeks. Remember, there's 7 days in a week, and this will be roughly around 4 weeks to make up a month. Okay. There are, let's count them, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months to make up a whole year. Okay. So if you think about that, it's 4 weeks for every month, and there are 12 months. That's a lot of weeks in the year. Okay, 52 to be exact. Okay, so we are going to sing a song to do with months of the year as well in a moment. I want to tell you the importance of naming months in a year. They're separated in these bits to make it easier to measure the year, shall we say, okay? So we don't just measure with rulers and using centimetres and things, but sometimes we measure things in months of the year. So it helps us work out whereabouts we are in the year, which is very important for things like, let's say, December, because December is a very important month for a certain thing that happens in December. I don't know if you know what this might be. It might be that it's your birthday, but also it is Christmas, okay? And if we didn't know it was December, then we wouldn't know when to put our Christmas tree up. Or we wouldn't, or Father Christmas wouldn't know to come and deliver your presents if he didn't know it was December. So it helps us measure whereabouts we are in a year, okay? Also, I think my class has definitely heard of seasons in the year, okay? And in the seasons, the weather changes. So summer is absolutely boiling warm and gorgeous, okay? Often in our country anyway. Spring is the time we're in at the moment, when all the leaves are popping out on the trees and the flowers are starting to come into bloom. My apple tree up here was just quite bald when I started this a few weeks ago, and now all these beautiful apple blossoms are popping out. So we're in spring at the moment, getting warmer, but sometimes there could be the odd chilly day. You've got winter, where it's very cold, the season of winter, and this is where December falls in, okay, very cold. And then you also have autumn, where all the leaves fall off the trees, okay? And certain months fall into certain seasons, right? So we would probably say that November, December and January were in the season of winter. We've got February, March and April are in the season of spring, and we're in April at the moment, so we're in spring. May, June, July and August, we would probably say it was summertime. May is probably sort of between spring and summer. And then September and October, and maybe the end of August as well, is kind of like the autumn time, when the leaves starting to fall off the tree. So they're kind of measured in their seasons, so many months, roughly around 3 months in each season. Okay, so that's our measurement of a year. So we break it down into seasons and also months, so we can see where we are in a year. Also, it's quite important to know what month it is, because it might be coming up to your birthday. Okay? So my birthday is in November. Okay, it's in the month of November. We are currently over here in the month of April. So I know that I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months until it's my birthday. Okay? I would also know that if it was October, I would only have 1 month to my birthday. 1 month before my birthday is October, so I'd have 1 month until it's my birthday. So it's quite handy to know what month of the year it is for important things like birthdays and Christmas. Maybe you can pause the video and have a look for the month of the year that you were born in, when your birthday falls, okay? And then you can work out, because we're in April over here, how many jumps, how many months you've got until it's your birthday, okay? If your birthday's up here in February, then you've got to count all the way around the circle, back past January, until you get to your month of February, okay? You can use your phonics knowledge to help you a bit with months of the year too. But I'm not going to go into all those now because there's 12 of them and it will take a while. But you can certainly have a chat to your adults at home to see how you can work out what month of the year you are reading when you put your finger on it. Okay? So the song we are going to sing is, it goes like this. I'll sing it once through and then we'll sing it a second time so you can get used to the tune. Okay? So we're going to start with January because it's the first month of every brand new year. So we're going to say January, February, March and April, May, June, July and August, September, October, November, December. These are the months of the year. Quite simple, quite quick. We'll do it one more time. Try and sing with me this time. January, February, March and April, May, June, July and August, September, October, November, December. These are the months of the year. Okay, so practice that song, singing it at home as well. Now, if you're in my class, I have sent a link for an email to your parents to do a similar thing to your Days of the Week sheet yesterday. And this is to cut and stick the months of the year. So they've started you off with January and then you've got to cut out the other ones, put them in the right place in the circle and stick them down. Just like yesterday, I wouldn't stick them down until you're absolutely sure you've placed them in the right place first before you put any glue on the back of them. And maybe you could get an adult to shuffle some around so you can test you to see which ones are in the wrong places, or flip some over and see if you can tell which ones are missing before you stick them down. But then keep hold of this because this will help you throughout the week when we're singing our song. Bring it with you to your next lesson, and then when we sing our song you can use your own one to touch while you're singing the months of the year. Okay? If you're not in my class, and obviously you haven't had an email with that on, quite easy again for an adult to make a circle on a bit of paper for you with the blank boxes and then write out the months of the year, and you've got to cut out the ones they've written and stick them in the right place. So quite easy to do even if you're not receiving my emails and you're not in my class. Right, so that is the months of the year. Now I'm going to have a little look at, and I'm going to put this down because it keeps falling and I need both arms for this. We're going to look at a unit of measurement for time, which is 1 minute. Okay. Now we have discussed this in my class before, and we know that in 1 minute there are 60 seconds. Okay. Now a second is almost as long as it takes you to count the number. So 1, 2, 3, 4, I've counted to 4 seconds there. So it's almost like as long as it would take you to sort of slowly clap your hands is a second. There are 60 of those claps, counting to 60 in 1 minute, okay? But I want to get a feeling of what 1 minute feels like in this lesson, okay? So when adults say to you, we'll do it in a minute, you've got an idea of how long they mean. They don't mean next week, they don't mean right now, they mean in about 60 claps time, okay? We are going to be looking at a unit of time which is 1 minute, okay? So in order to feel like what 1 minute might feel like, I have got a 1 minute timer here from one of my board games. I'd like to have had the big one from our classes so you could really see it, but it's at school at the moment and I am not. And I've also got the iPad here and I've got it gone into the timer section. So through the clock app on there and then into the timer section, and I'm going to have it set for 1 minute, okay? So you've got two things that you can look at there to see that minute going down, okay? So I've set it for 1 minute on there, and I've got my 1 minute timer here as well. So in this 1 minute, so you get a feel for what 1 minute feels like, okay? And that you're not just sitting there watching me watch a sound timer. I am going to take a piece of paper, and I want you to do this task after you've watched me do it on the video, okay? You can pause the video and have a go yourself. Now, it's writing your name. How many times can you do it in 1 minute? Okay. Now, if you've not wrote your name for a while, you've not done so many pieces of artwork and different pieces of work at school that you need to write your name on, and you feel like you've kind of forgotten how to write it at the moment, then get an adult to write it at the top for you first, and maybe have a practice going over the top of theirs a few times to help you, all right? Or if you find it particularly tricky, maybe you could ask your parents to write it lots and lots of times over your piece of paper, and you can see how many of them you can copy over before the 1 minute timer runs out. Okay, so there's all sorts of different options if just writing it, you know, we've all had a holiday and a bit of a break if we're finding it a little bit tricky. Okay, so I'm going to write Mrs Patnell all over this piece of paper in 1 minute, and I'm going to see how many I can get done in 1 minute. You're going to watch me do that, but also watch the sand timer and the iPad timer, so you get a feel of those 60 seconds, that 1 minute passing by, and what a minute feels like. This is the important thing that we're doing here, okay? So I am going to have my paper ready. I am going to turn over, I'm going to start my timer, and I'm going to start my timer. I'm going to press start. I'm going to start my timer, and I'm going to flip my sand timer, and then I'm going to write my name all over this piece of paper. And I'm going to stop after 1. I'm going to see how many I can do in that minute. So I'm going to start my timer, and I'm going to turn over my sand timer there as well, and off I go. I'm going to write Mrs Patnell all over my piece of paper. A bit tricky to see on the camera, but I'll show you afterwards. I'm using my capital letters for the beginning of Mrs and the beginning of Patnell. Okay, so here I go. I want you to be feeling like what the minute feels like, okay? It's not over yet, so it's not really quick. Remember, it's 60 seconds, almost like 60 claps of your hands, maybe. Right, I'm on number 4 now. I've written Mrs Patnell 4 times now. I'm going to keep going. That sand timer is still going. Looks like it's over halfway. There's more in the bottom than there is to go in the top. Oh, it's running quite low now. The timer's ticking away now. I've got 7 seconds left. Can I get another one in before it goes off? Oh, yes. I don't know if you can hear it going off there. The sand has run out on my timer, and my timer is going off here, so I'm going to stop that. And if I show you my bit of paper, I have wrote Mrs Patnell 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I was just starting another one, but I can only count the full ones, so I've done it 6 times. 6 times I wrote Mrs Patnell in 1 minute. So after this video, I want to challenge you guys to see how many times you can write your name. Don't worry about your surname, okay? So just think about your first name. Alright, so just the first name that you're known by to all your friends, and write that all over your piece of paper. How many times can you do it in 1 minute? So ask your parents to either use a sand timer, maybe from a game you've got at home, so you can watch it going through, or they'll have timers on their mobile phones or your tablets, and then you can watch it ticking down as you write. But don't get in a panic, okay? It's not a competition. So just to feel how long a minute can feel to you, okay? Then after that, I'm thinking you could challenge yourself to see how many star jumps you could do in 1 minute. Now remember, a star jump is when your legs go out and then back in again, and your arms too. So out and in is 1 jump. So out isn't 1 and then in is another. So out and in is 1 whole jump. How many star jumps can you do in 1 minute? So I think while you're doing it, get an adult to time you. They can help by counting with you in case you get a little bit confused with the higher numbers, because I imagine you're going to do lots of star jumps in 1 minute. And also have your 100 square nearby to help you count as well, because it'd be very good to count at the same time to remember your counting skills as well. And then see how many star jumps you can do. Then I'm going to set you another challenge to pick something else of your own choice. So without me telling you what to do, something else that you want to see how many of those things you can do in 1 minute. If you're in my class, pop it on Tapestry, please. Parents, if you can add any comments that the children have made, that's really helpful for me when I'm doing my assessments as well. If you're not in my class, then have a good chat with your parents. Maybe estimate first how many star jumps you think you're going to do before you do it, and then see how close you were to how many you actually did when you count them when you're doing them. I think that probably, oh yeah, my last challenge for you as well that I want you all to do after that, to really get used to what 1 minute feels like, okay? I want your adult to sit with the timer. So if they're using a sound timer, they've got to cover it up with their hands so you can't see it. If they're using their phones, then hold them up so you can't see them. And I want your parents to start a stopwatch this time, not a timer. And so go to the stopwatch option on the iPad, okay, or the sound timer, but covered up. And I want them to start the stopwatch or the timer without you seeing what's ticking by. And I want you to sit on the carpet or in a chair. And I want you to think in your head when 1 minute has passed from when your adult has said go. Okay, so they'll say go, and I want you to think in your head when 1 minute has passed by. Okay, when you think 1 minute has gone, remember there's 60 seconds in 1 minute, so it might help to have your 100 square there, maybe counting in your head or out loud, or clapping to 60 might give you a hand. But when you think 1 minute has gone exactly, I want you to stand up, okay, so from the carpet or from your chair, because that's a sign that you think 1 minute has gone past. And I want your adults to tell you how close you were. Maybe you were just a little bit too soon, so you were maybe 55 seconds. Maybe you were just after the minute, so you were 1 minute and a few more seconds, okay? Adults, if they get to about a minute and a half and they're still sitting down, maybe stop it there and tell them that it's gone past, that a minute and a half has gone past. And maybe try it again, so they'll know they're feeling for a shorter period of time on their second try. But see how close you can get to 1 minute. If you're in my class again, put it on tapestry. Tell me exactly where you got to when you stood up. See how close you were to the 1 minute. If you're at home, celebrate it with your adults if you get really close to that 1 minute, okay? So I want to really finish today's lesson with you really knowing what 1 minute feels like, okay? Right then, guys, this is the end of today's lesson, and I will see you again tomorrow when we're doing a bit of timing and racing, okay, with your adults tomorrow. So good news for you, adults. See you then. Bye-bye.